And we're live. Okay, so anyone willing to offer the invocation?
I would do so, but my daughters are here, so maybe.
I can. Just can be quiet for a minute.
Thank you, Brenda.
Okay. Our Father in heaven, we're grateful that we could gather together tonight as a group to participate in this class discussion in the case study. Father, we ask thee to have thy spirit to be with us, that we can feel comfortable in discussing and sharing our thoughts with one another, and to be acceptable and accepting each other's ideas. Father, we ask you to watch over those that were not able to join us, that they will be able to benefit as well. And we say these things in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 Thank you. Okay, so this is lesson number 11, group discussion. There's an agenda, and the first thing that we're asked to do is to begin with a quick synopsis of the case. So I'm going to go ahead and read what I thought would be a good introduction. I used it in my write-up.
Okay.
So we're talking about Barbara Norris. She's a nurse manager for the general surgery unit at Eastern Massachusetts University Hospital. After 1 month filling this position, she's starting to feel tired and overwhelmed. She's responsible for managing 25 registered nurses and 8 patient care assistants. Her biggest challenges so far are related to high stress levels and low morale, again, among the nursing staff. This in part has to do with the fact that the hospital is going through serious cost-cutting measures, which has resulted in a declining patient satisfaction score over the past few years. Based on her current situation, well, those are my recommendations. But this is pretty much the background of the case study. We're talking about this manager who's struggling with pretty much due to the budget cuts. The first questions that I had here is what are the root problems Barbara Norris is facing? What do you guys think?
Well, it's definitely lack of employee morale, and well, and also the communication. There's a lot of interpersonal and intergroup conflict.
I agree with that.
Also, though before she was promoted to her position, the unit was known for its high turnover rates and low retention rates. But besides that, Barbara is experiencing an economic downturn and cost-cutting measures. So besides having to deal with the problems the unit is experiencing, she has to deal with the economy as well and the hospital's measures to go through this downturn. So she has a difficult situation to deal with.
Right. And also, I think, too, the other part of the issue was the performance reviews as well, that there wasn't anything like, there wasn't a set procedure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's good. The next one says, how well has Barbara Norris done in her first month as nurse manager of GASU? Was she good choice for the position?
I think she was. I mean, she was more than qualified between her experience as a nurse and then completing her program in the nursing administration. And I think she came from a unit that worked well together, so she had a good base on what it should be like.
I thought so too. I think she's well qualified for the position. I mean, like you already stated, she went through a master's degree. She has a lot of years of experience on the matter, on the topic. I guess all she is going through is related to the hospital's administration and problems with administration. other than her qualifications for this position. So I really think she's a good fit for the position.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too. And she was when she was thinking about the problems about the unit is having. She recalled how her former boss Brenda managed her team. So I think she's trying to implement some of the same measures, like for example, if before taking any decisions, she told her team already that she's going to ask them. So
Right.
he comes to an agreement, to a consensus.
Right. Okay. What changes is she trying to make and why?
Well,
The first thing that I noticed is that she really wants to bring the team together.
right. I think she's trying to develop a cohesive team
Right.
that supports and helps each other.
She's aware that if she's not able to bring the team together, she's gonna have a lot of problems. I mean, that's gonna be a very hard challenge to overcome. So with all these cost-cutting measures and a low budget, pretty much, it's gonna be hard for her to succeed in her position as a manager. So I would do the same thing. I would go ahead and start talking to having one-on-ones that she's already having with some of the employees. As far as I can see, is a very tough situation.
Right. Well, and I think what she needs to do is figure out a way where, you know, they're mentoring each other, but they're also what's the word I'm looking for? Their contributions are being acknowledged, that they feel valued. And I think right now they don't feel valued, and they're fighting with each other.
Right.
So even though she has that economic or the constraints of not being able to give them overtime or raises, she still has to find ways to make them feel important and acknowledge what they're doing, and to help them be a part, to help each other.
Right. At the end, I think even for those nurses that are having a lot of attitude issues, it's mostly because at some point they didn't feel recognized, as you already stated. So they didn't feel valued, and they just got sick of it, I guess. And that's creating a very tense situation among all the other new employees.
Right.
Yeah, maybe they thought that if they're not going to receive any type of acknowledgement, then they won't do their best, right? So because like Jennifer, one of the nurses, said that all nurses receive the same annual salary increase, and they don't. And she complained because she went above and beyond with her education and spent hours studying and to become better qualified, and then she didn't receive any type of acknowledgement. And she said that even not compensatory, but verbal, at least someone should have acknowledged with praise or other forms of recognition.
Right.
I agree. Okay. Following on, the next question says, what are 3 obstacles to affecting change Norris should anticipate, and how should she address them?
Well, I think her biggest hurdle, is going to be a big part, is the economic atmosphere of the hospital, the budget cuts and stuff. Because that just limits what she can do as far as staffing and rewarding her staff that deserves it. I think that's a hurdle. And then the other hurdle is the way they interact with each other. I think that's a hard habit to break.
Right.
Yeah, how they criticize each other.
Right.
Yeah. And also about the nurses, they don't feel that the review process is fair, and they say that there's a lot of favoritism, and there's another issue that Barbara needs to deal with.
Right.
So the the hospitals and award and recognition program is not successful.
And even the doctors, they see the nurses like, like administration or something, like do this or any other task that's not related to their job.
Right. So now that we know what came up with the 3 obstacles, what's a good way for her to address them? Starting with the first one, the economic atmosphere of the hospital. In my write-up, I came up with a recommendation for her, and that has to do with her getting to know the atmosphere, and writing up a report for her boss. I even came up with other article from the case study from Harvard as well, which says that whenever you bring up a problem to your boss, you gotta follow some guidelines. And the first one is to describe the problem, identify the solution or approach, explain the implications, discuss the benefits, and accept responsibility for the outcome. And I thought those were very good guidelines to follow, especially for her. She really needs to sell the new idea to her boss. Perhaps they are not aware of how much problem this is causing to the overall performance. So she really needs to put that in writing and sell off the idea.
Well, and I also think too, if I mean, she might not be able to get around the overtime hours or whatnot. And the part of the nurse's complaint is the nurses from the floating pool don't understand the procedures in their department or their unit. So having a mentoring program where there's a more experienced nurse available to help the nurses, and trying to set up a way that they can get the same nurses from the floating pool that have worked in the unit, instead of just getting a different nurse every time. Maybe even just having that, knowing that there's 2 or 3 in the floating pool that can sub in, that don't have to be retrained every time they work. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Would you add that to the economic part of it, or?
I would put that under the economic problem, because I mean, she might not be able to do anything. I worked at a job where they froze raise increases and had a hiring freeze. We were on that for 4 years, and there was nothing we could do. I mean, I had staff that quit because
I imagine
they weren't getting recognized for what they could do, and I could turn around and hire them and make more money bringing them in than I could, except that we were on a hiring freeze. But you know, there was just nothing we could do about it. So we had to be very creative when we were recognizing people, as far as whether it was verbal, or I bought my staff lunch a lot. You know, I do different things for them so that they felt valued.
So that would be like improving the mentoring program and the mentoring and cross-training program on the
Yes.
Okay.
Do you think that a mentoring program will like change some of their, I guess, attitudes or mentalities? Because I don't know, I kind of interpreted it as
I thought that too.
They just kind of seemed stuck in their own little like different gaps, from the new people to the senior people. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, I would think it would give them a little bit a sense of ownership for their unit, and the people they're working with, as far as, and it also would allow them to take a little bit more initiative too.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and I feel, yeah, sorry guys, I'm here. But I think also where everybody knows what's going on, I think they're more willing to, I don't know, to understand the situation. Like there's economical issues, so there's nothing she can do really, right? Like pay overtime or hire some nurses. But I think if she mentors them and they all work as a team and they'll feel like they're in this together, they're more willing to put in the work.
Right.
When you just working on you and you're only worrying about you, well, I have to work overtime. Well, I don't get recognized. Everybody does that. And no, nothing. There's no team, and that's what we're reading this week about that. If you don't work as a team, then you can have results, because if the hospital, the unit fails, everybody fails, not just the new nurses or the older nurses. Everybody does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and I go ahead.
Oh yeah, as Catherine was saying, if you promote teamwork, then employees will feel like they belong to the unit, and this will help improve their commitment and morale also.
Yeah. Like embrace the SAC together, right?
Okay. Anything else on that section?
Well, one of the things I did get from it is they all valued their patient care. Like they felt that was all important. So they all had that in common. And I think that's the starting point in building the team. I mean, they were all about, it's my patient care. But I think that's one thing that they each had in common, was how they felt that patient care was important and that they had to do the best they could with that. They just need to bring it around as a team and not individually.
I agree, because I think everybody feels the same way, but no one is willing to speak up. And I think once you're willing to bring your point across, everybody's like, okay, that makes sense, because we know why the older nurse doesn't train the new ones, because she's busy and patient care is important to her. So that makes sense. But everybody's saying, well, she just doesn't want to, when that's not the case. So communication is key.
Yeah, and I also think that they are nurses because they love their job. Because like Barbara, she admired her mother and grandmother, and when she was small, she knew that she wanted to become a nurse. So as Brenda said, they care about their patients. So that's a common goal. And then as Brenda said, they should start by reminding everyone that that's their goal, and then maybe they can come up with some other goals.
Right. And the offsite reunions are also good, because that's a way for them to realize or recognize how can I say this? Put on somebody else's shoes, pretty much, because they're talking on their backs. So they got to realize that all of them have the same goal in mind. They all care about patient satisfaction. You already said it. So they gotta overcome that challenge. Otherwise, they won't succeed. And well, that's what I had in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember Megan? How she heard the other nurses talking about her, and they call her a pest. So imagine how you would feel if your coworkers call you like that, or talk behind your back. Yeah.
It's like in the gospel, the convert say that he goes inactive, and the only way for those people to come back is for them to remember that day when they got baptized and why they got baptized. So it's something similar to this. There's a lot of negativism here, and it seems to be in the group. So they gotta remember what they are there for, and as soon as they come to that understanding, I guess everything is gonna work better.
Well, and I think they need to do some team building type activities. You know, do they just not know each other very well? I mean, it's a tough situation because they are talking about each other, but I think sometimes doing those team building activities, and they don't have to be super expensive, helps each other get to know each other for starters, but kind of when you're working together to resolve issues, you kind of develop that team that.
Okay.
Yeah, like you said, Brenda, that you took lunch or something to your employees so they feel motivated. So as you said, she can implement some measures that are not very expensive, but still can make her team feel valued.
So, do you guys want to add something else on the hospital's award and recognition program? You think that's okay?
Well, I think she definitely needs to do performance reviews, whether she can give raises or not, because everybody wants to know how they're doing.
Yeah, and performance reviews are not just about the money. Sometimes, right? So it's good when your boss lets you know that you're doing a good job.
Right.
Yeah.
Or even, or even knowing, okay, this is what I need to work on, or this is, where I need to improve. You have to have that balance of what you're doing great and where you need to improve. And I think that's where they're struggling, as well as they all think they're doing great.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are many employees who really like to work towards some goals. They want to improve in their professional careers or their areas of work. And if the company doesn't do that for you, I mean, you're just, at some point, you're just gonna quit and find another place to work.
Right.
You treat you better. Yeah.
Yeah, like Jennifer Goodwin, she was the second nurse to speak up, and she said that she wanted feedback because that will help her be a better nurse and a better coworker. So maybe she's not the only one who really wants to know how she's performing. We all want to know that, I think.
Right. Okay. One of the last questions here, or assignments, it says, advise an action plan for Norris. What are the specifics of your plan? So I think this pretty much covers it. I don't know if you guys have anything else that we can add there, but this is pretty much a plan for her to start working on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she. One more thing, she must make sure that assignments are no longer given based on relationships and favoritism.
Right.
She needs to do that right away, immediately. Yeah, and also create a culture of accountability among her staff. As in the book we're reading, it's not easy to hold each other accountable, but you have to, as Catherine said, you have to push your team with respect. But so if you do so, the team will come to realize that it's for the own good of its members.
So you say that nurses are working long shifts, or is that what you meant?
No. I remember that they felt that there was their assignments were given on relationships and favoritism. So
yeah, favoritism.
Favoritism.
Yeah.
Favoritism.
Yeah.
See, and that one's a hard one for me because I'm going to make assignments with the people I think are going to do the best job.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that I favor them. I just know that they're going to do it and be a little bit, they can do it faster, better, whatever the reason is.
I think as well, they all need to make sure that that they have the same standard for what they're shooting for, so that way everyone knows what the standard should be, and that way they can be held accountable.
Right.
Before the meeting, I was reading the next week's pages from the book, and actually, Catherine, she shares an experience that she had a worker, an employee who was a very good employee, one of the best employees, but he was hurting the team. But she didn't pay much attention to that, and instead of doing something, she promoted him. And after that, she was fired because she didn't took proper care of the problem. Even though he was an exceptional employee, he was creating problems.
Yeah, and I think by promoting him, more people quit.
Yes.
Of the team, which is funny. Yeah.
So maybe taking care about that. There are many good employees, but if they don't commit to work in teams, maybe that's not a good idea to promote them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, the last thing here, it says that we should consider the following information. Do you guys remember the 4 drive theory? It says that there are 4 specific drives. It's from the Harvard Business School. And the first one says the drive to acquire. Humans have a fundamental need to seek and acquire objects and experiences they value. Given the general scarcity of desired objects and experiences, this drive draws humans into competition with one another. Question: how well does GSU's reward system fulfill the drive to achieve and acquire?
Well, I wrote in my write-up that Barbara can acknowledge individual achievements and contributions by granting rewards, praise, assignments, and other forms of recognition, because she might not be able to influence her boss on making annual salary increases commensurate with performance. So there are many other ways to do so.
So they're definitely not doing well, but she's not. There's not too much that she can do, right?
Yeah, when she reflected at the end of the meeting about what she could do, she even thought about that possibility that she might not be able to influence her boss. So.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe, hopefully, she's able to at least get one thing from her higher ups, and maybe ask her team what can for all to agree to find a solution to. So how can we make this better for everybody with what we got? Because there's no money, and if everybody knows that, then maybe the employees themselves can come up with ideas too.
I think it's important to get them involved,
Mm-hmm.
Having their input, and sometimes their solutions can be just as simpler than we would have thought.
Mm-hmm.
Solution could be.
Okay. Next one, the drive to bond. Humans have a fundamental emotional need to seek and develop mutual social commitments. This drive draws humans into collaboration with one another. And again, the question is, how well does GSU's culture fulfill the drive to belong and bond?
They're very egocentric right now, They're dealing with the same issues, but they're not dealing with them together. They're more worried about the struggles that they're going as an individual with, which is funny in a way when you see it from the outside, because everybody's feeling the same way, and everybody's feeling overworked, stressed, not motivated. So I think when you get to know a person You're more willing to trust them, sympathize, and be more understanding. I mean, if somebody you know and it says, "Hey, can you cover my shift because I've been working for the last 72 hours," and you haven't, you're more willing to say, "Oh yeah," or you're more willing to say, "Can you take care of my patient because I got 2 other patients that are in critical state." You're more willing to say, "Yes, of course," even though you have a full plate because you're a team. So
I
you
agree.
all want the same thing, which is patient care, excellent patient care.
That's a good one. Yeah.
If
Okay.
you're not thinking about yourself now, then you're thinking about the overall team.
Okay. Next one. The drive to comprehend. Humans have a fundamental emotional need to develop understandings of their environments and themselves. This drive draws humans into collecting information, building new knowledge, exploring new possibilities, and finding meaning in their activities and life. How well does GSU's job design fulfill the drive to challenge and comprehend?
I think it's not doing well right now. Yeah, because employees need to be challenged and motivated, and because when you give them when you design jobs that challenge employees, you give them the opportunity to learn, grow, and improve their skills. So I don't think that right now the hospital is doing so.
Okay.
There's definitely needs to be more training. I think that new staff can be more productive if the senior nurses will actually take the time to train them. Because here they're saying we don't have enough time to do our own tasks, yet alone to train other people. But if you would take the time to train people, you can actually rely on them for help because they'll be more productive knowing what they're doing. So I don't know if that goes with the question, but
Oh, I think it does. Okay. The last one that we got is the drive to defend. Humans have a fundamental emotional drive to defend our accomplishments in fulfilling our other 3 drives. When such accomplishments are threatened, humans experience fear and anger and respond by flight or fight. So how well does GSU's performance management system fulfill the drive to defend and defend?
I feel like since there isn't really a reward system, then people don't take as much pride in their accomplishments. I feel like they would be more defensive about their accomplishments if more people recognize their accomplishments.
Right.
But I don't know.
Yeah, I think that right now it lacks fairness and trust, and it needs to the hospital needs to promote openness and fostering a sense of respect and show its employees that everything is fair. And when you see that things are fair, and you even though you do not agree with something, then you accept them.
Okay.
definitely they're missing leadership. They have higher ups, but they don't really have a leader that is bringing them together, that is explaining honestly the situation that they're in, that is motivating them. I mean, it's like my husband is in the military. It doesn't matter who works harder. I mean, you could just not work and do anything. You're still getting paid. So there is no that sense of team there. So maybe some nurses are not working as hard as they should, or they're not being as productive as they could be because if I work or not work, I'm still getting paid. And the ones that do work, feel like unappreciated and overworked. But if they see that others are not giving the same amount of effort, so
Yeah.
that's discouraging too.
I also think it's not just about reward and recognition.
Mm-hmm.
I really think there are some behavioral problems that need to be taken care of, and for sure she's gonna need to enforce more discipline or some corrective actions on some of them until they either get straightened out or they leave probably. But I mean, it's gonna be that way, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I hope so.
Okay, guys. Well, I think that's all we have for today. Anything else you would like to add to this?
I wanted to ask, next week we don't have a meeting, but week 13 and 14 we do, but we don't have leaders. So I don't know if anyone's willing to.
What? Oh, let me see my calendar.
Lead the meeting.
So we don't have a meeting the week of the 9th, but we do the 16th.
No, the next week, 12th.
Yeah, next week we don't have a meeting.
We don't have.
So the 19th.
It looks like we have a meeting the week for the lesson 13.
And
Okay,
14.
so-
Yeah,
But I think
lesson,
14
but not lesson
recorded.
12.
No. Uh-huh.
How is 14? Julio, what did you say?
14 is not going to be recorded, I think.
Right.
Okay.
14 is when we present our accountability
Project.
projects.
I can lead the 19. I'm actually going out of town the 20th, so I was gonna ask today if I could present my project on the 19th as well, if you guys don't mind.
I don't have any problem. We can have a meeting for the 13 and then spend some time for the next week, but it's up to you. I'm okay.
It works. It doesn't matter to me.
I mean, we can stop the recording after we're done with our meeting, and then we can do accountability projects if anybody wants to do them early.
Okay.
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
That's fine with me.
All right.
That's okay. That's okay for me.
Okay.
But just make sure to send an email to those that did not attend, so they know that we will spend like 2 hours.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So are we all doing our projects?
I won't be ready by
I
then.
will.
Yeah, I have to, yeah, I'm going out of the country, so I think that would be best for me than trying to find a good connection later.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
All right,
It's okay.
thanks, guys.
Okay, guys, that's it then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Have a good
Night.
weekend.
You guys
night.
have a good night.
You too.
Bye.